So let's go ahead and jump over into the Mylio preview and take a look at the albums view. So right now, what we're looking at is albums, and you can see that here on the left column, it's highlighted in blue, and we're looking at collections of different things in our library. So to give a little bit of foundational knowledge here, most of you probably already know this, but some of you might be new, the difference between a folder and an album. So right here we have our folders view. These are the physical folders where our things live on our computers, on our external drives, and so forth. This is where you want to have just one copy of something and it's organized into an individual folder. But a lot of times we have things that don't necessarily fit into one neat package. It might apply to two or three different things, and we want to be able to find it under those different groupings. That is where albums come in handy. So albums, instead of being where your stuff is physically stored, is virtual organization. What that means is it's like a playlist for your photos where you can have more than one image in as many different albums as you want. Now, regular albums like we have today in Mylio are manually created, meaning you select images and you add them, drag them, however you want to do it, into that one container, that grouping. Now, with the addition of smart albums, what this does is we have this section here, and these are based on different filtered sets. So you can go in and basically create a search and then save that search and have it pop up here in this section as a smart album. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you how to create them, a few options of how to use them, some things that you might not have thought about, and they're really, really helpful. If you used quick collections in the Mylio you have today, this is very similar, but it takes it to the next level because we have them available right here in our albums view. That's something we don't have in Mylio today, and I'm really excited about this because it makes all of these things that much more accessible and useful. So the first thing I want to take a look at here is what a smart album is. And it is basically a saved set of filters. So let's go ahead and transition over here to my library view. This is my everything, my all photos. And I'm going to go up here and open up the filters. You can see we already have our basic filters bar open. And I'm going to go ahead and click to open the filter browser as well. Excuse me. And what we can do from here is we can search different filters and create different sets of parameters that we might want to get back to over and over. So one of the ones that I like to do is the best photos from a particular trip. So I could say I want to do all of my 4 and 5-star images from, say, my trip to Scotland. So I can go here into my filters, and there's several ways I could do this. I know I keyworded a lot of my images with Scotland, so I could do it by keyword. I could go down here and do it by a date. So there's lots of different ways that you can go ahead and do this. And for me, I'm going to go ahead and use the date range here. And we're going to go down here and we're going to say custom. Actually, let's go here. Actually, I think I already have that set. So let's make that a little wider. I think that's the one I want. So October 21 through November 6. Let's go ahead and pop that up there. And there we go. We've got those 3 things in my search. So now that we have that, what if we want to take this and come back to it over and over? What you're going to do is up here in the search bar, go ahead and click into that search bar. It expands it across the top of the screen, and you have this little smart album picker up here in the upper left. Click on that, and then you can say, save it as a new smart album. And we're going to call this one Best of Scotland. And we'll just put 2026 in there. And you can group these together. We'll talk about that here in a moment. And then it shows you exactly which filters were used. So I'm going to go ahead and click save. And now I can go ahead and clear out that search. And there's a couple of ways to get back to this. I can go up here to the Smart Albums picker, and there's my Best of Scotland right there. That's going to jump me right back to that. Or I can go ahead and close that up. I'm going to close up my filters. And if we go over here to our albums view, which is honestly the easiest way, especially later on, once you have this on your phones and your tablets and you're wanting to show off your best vacation photos, you'll just navigate to albums. There is that smart album, and you can go ahead and pull it up just like that. So that is the basics of a smart album. It's essentially a saved search that you can go back to over and over again. And the really cool thing about this is as I go through and edit more pictures of my trip, and I mark them as say 4 or 5 stars, they are going to end up in this collection. So in this smart album, it's going to grow as new things match those parameters. So let's say you have one for your picks, your favorite things for the year 2026. You could just have the best of 2026. And as you find more things that are your favorites, you mark them with a flag and they will automatically end up in that smart album. So let's go ahead and jump back here. We've got our breadcrumbs across the top. I'm going to click back to albums. And in addition to the one that I created here, you'll notice that Mylio also comes pre-populated with several other ones. And these are examples of what might be useful to you. Now, not everything here might be useful to you, but we have one here just for selfies. We have one here for just our raw photos. And if we go ahead and click on that and open that up and take a look at what's in there, that's going to be everything in my library that is a raw photo. So those are in there, they're pre-grouped. And if you decide that you don't want these, you have the option to get rid of them. You can, of course, just right click on this and say, you know what, I don't want this here anymore. Delete that one album. Or you can go up here into the search and into this picker here, and we have an area for manage smart albums. So this is where you can go ahead and edit and refine things after you've already created them. So we can go here to Best of Scotland, which we created, and I can click on this and I can edit that, and I can choose different searches and filters. I can edit the filters that are in this search. I can delete it. I can decide, you know what, I want it to be visible in the albums view, but I don't want it to show in that drop-down picker. I can go ahead and turn that off. I can also create custom groups here and these just relate to this dialogue, but I can say, okay, I have a custom travel group. I can grab this one and drag it over here into travel, and I've now organized that. Let me go ahead and close this up and show you what that does. Is up here, I now have a travel group, and that is grouped right there. So just from that picker, it makes it a little bit easier to navigate. Now, if you look down here at these presets, some of these might be useful to you, some of them may not. Or you might want to even change them. So let's go ahead and start with, if you don't want them here in the drop down, let's say you're not a big selfie taker, you don't want to see that. So we're going to go here to manage smart albums. We're going to go here to the presets, and we're going to go down to selfies, and we're going to turn that off and just remove it from the picker. It doesn't delete it. It just removes it from that drop down list. So now if we go ahead and close out of there, go back to our picker, selfies is gone. Now you will notice that selfies is still here in album view. Again, it doesn't delete it. If you really and truly don't want to see that there, just go ahead and right click on that and say delete album, and that goes away. Now, if you see one of these and say, we like the raw photos here, but maybe I only want to see raw photos from a specific camera, you can go ahead and modify these. So I'm going to go ahead and go back up to this search bar, and we're going to go back to the picker, manage smart albums, and into presets, and we're going to go here to raw photos. Now you'll see here that we do have an edit, duplicate, or hide. Editing is limited on the presets, but you can duplicate it, and then you can go ahead and change the filters that are part of that. So I'm going to go ahead and say edit filters and search and go back to my filter browser. And I want to go ahead and do this by Canon camera. So I'm going to go ahead and say only from my Canon cameras, or you can go to a specific model. So let's go ahead and pull that up. I've pinned that. So now I'm only going to limit this to raw photos from my Canon camera. And then we're going to go here and save this as a smart album. And we're going to go ahead and overwrite this raw photos copy. So there we go, overwrite. And now when we go into that list, we now have one called raw photos copy. And if we want to go in there and change that name, we can do that too. So go here and edit and just say Canon raw photos and change that up. Oops. And there we go. And you may or may not want that in the picker. You can go ahead and decide and click save. And that's how you can go ahead and modify those preset ones that come with Mylio. We go ahead and close that out here, and let's take a look back at our albums view. I'm going to close up the filters, and let's talk about some of the other view options you have here in albums view. I'm going to go ahead and clear that search, and I'm going to go ahead and close up the filter browser. That way we have a pretty clean area to work with. So you'll notice right now my albums are grouped by albums here at the top, which are my regular albums, and down here at the bottom I have my smart albums. If you want to change that around, you have sort options here. You can do whatever sorting of this entire view that you want. You can also sort these sections independently. So if you come here to this little ellipses next to albums, you can sort this particular group by date created, and then maybe you want to sort this particular group by album name. So you have that option of choosing which section sorts which way. You also have the option here whether you want to see these grouped or you want to see them as one list. So I'm going to go down here and change this. Instead of grouping it by type, we're going to say none, and that just gives you all of your list of albums. Now, at this point, it's a little bit tough to see which albums are your smart albums, which albums are your regular albums. You can fix that too. So by going here to the grid style, you can go ahead and change that to the tile. If you change it to tile, it adds on this little icon here. The ones that look like the little mountain, those are your regular albums. The ones that have the little light bulb are a smart album. So that's a good little indicator to know which is which. I'm going to go ahead and change this back to the caption view. You also, in this view under annotations, have the option to add a container icon. And that puts that same icon here below it. So again, you can see at a glance what you have in that particular or what type of album it is. And then you also have the options to choose what other information shows up on here. So you can say, you know what, I don't want to see the item counts, and maybe I don't want to see the dates. I just want to see the titles. So you have some really nice options here to choose what is showing and what is not. So lots of great things there. List view is also helpful. So if you want to just see things as a kind of plain list. And again, caption is the default, and it does not typically have that container icon on there. And then you also have the tile, which is really similar to what you have in Albums View and Mylio today. So whichever one you choose, it doesn't matter. They're all the same albums. It's just different ways of looking at them. I'm going to go ahead and regroup these by type because I like to see my smart albums separate from my regular albums. But again, it is very much a personal choice. So I'm going to go back here to the caption version. There we go. That's the view that I like. All right, so let's see, taking a look at some of our other things we have. We do have navigation here on the left. So if you click the navigation icon, I'm going to collapse down the sidebar on the left there. And we have a tree view of all of our different albums. So again, you can have nested and sub albums, and you can have nested and sub albums in your smart albums as well. So let's go ahead and say I want to take, let's see here, what do I want to do? Maybe I want to take my picked and I want to put them inside of 4 and 5 stars. I can do that. I could also drag and drop it over here on the navigation. Either way it works. And that goes ahead and nests that in there. And then you can see I've got that nested in there. It says we have one sub album. And this is what you're going to see when you go into it. So there's the one album at the top, and then all of the individual media that are there. If you accidentally nest something that you don't mean to, I love this new feature. Go ahead and right click on this and say, move to top level. Isn't that great? I know that's something a lot of you have been stumped on before. You've accidentally created albums inside of another album that you didn't mean to. Just right click now and moves it to the top level, which I think is just one of those brilliant little shortcuts. Let's see here. Something I want to mention, but we're not going to go in depth on today because I don't want to spend too much time on it, is over here under tools, we have face search and we have memory makers. And these are really cool tools for creating smart albums. You can create regular albums from them, or you can just do a search, but these are really great ways to make a specific smart album for yourself. So if you don't want to go through manually adding filters, you can go here to say memory maker. And I'm going to go ahead and exit out of that little tour. And you basically describe who, what, where, when to put together a memory. And then you can save that as a smart album. So let's go here, and I'm just going to go down to named places. And I'm going to go to United Kingdom. And again, I'm going to go to Scotland just because I know I've got those pictures in there. I'm going to select Scotland. So there's my selected area. And there are all my pictures I have from Scotland. You can go ahead and put in other limiting factors as well. So then we go ahead and review and next to save. And right there, again, you can create that as a smart album. And you can also show this on the collections page as a memory. And I'm going to go ahead and do Epic Scotland Trip. And we'll show that as a memory and create the smart album. So now that's going to show up right here, Epic Scotland trip. And it shows up when we go here to our, oops, there we are, collections view. And we go down to the memories section. And there we go, there's Epic Scotland trip. So I could then take that and pin that to the top. So maybe I see that all the time here at the top of my collections. So lots of different little things you can do to group things together, put things up at the forefront so you can find them easily, and just make it more fun to use. A few other ideas for some smart albums that you might not have thought about. One of the ones that I like to do is needs keywords. And I don't keyword everything. Keywords are there's debate on whether they're truly useful in in these days of AI, where AI can look at a picture and find things. But the words that I think of to find something are not necessarily what the AI is going to see. So for my very best images, the ones that I'm probably going to share on social media, post on my website, and so forth, I will take the time to add keywords. I also, when I import things, I add keywords just so there's some high level keywords on the stuff that comes in with my big camera. But I'm only going to take the time to do any kind of in-depth keywords on stuff that I've marked as a 4 or a 5 star. That's my personal workflow. So after I've gone through and I've done my editing, I will take all my 4 and 5 stars, and those are the candidates that I'm going to share more widely. And I want to take the time to add some keywords. So what I'm going to do is go back up here to my library view or the all photos, and we're going to filter for everything in my library that needs keywords. So again, we can go here to the filter browser and I'm going to type in keywords, or actually we can just go here to the keywords list and check it out. This is a brand new one here that we've put is no keywords. So anything that doesn't have keywords automatically gets sorted into that particular filter. So if I want to get back to that quickly and easily, go up here to my smart albums, and I'm going to go ahead and save that as a smart album. Needs keywords. Oops, if I could spell. There we go. And save. So now when I go back over here to my albums and go down to my smart albums, I will have my needs keywords. It should be, there it is, right there, needs keywords. 700 items in this particular library need keywords. I can even refine that further. So let's go ahead and I want to make it so it's only things that are those 4 and 5 stars. So we want to limit that and really make our work count. So I'm going to go here to manage smart albums, go to needs keywords, and we're going to edit that. And we're going to edit filters and search. And I want to go in, pull those filters back up, and we're going to grab just 4 and 5 stars. So again, narrowing this down to what it needs. And we're going to save that as a smart album. We're going to overwrite that needs keywords. And now when we go into that particular album, we're going to see that that now has many fewer images than it did before. Now, I can also go ahead and make a group here that is a to-do list. So I can create a section of things that I need to work on. So I'm going to go here to manage smart albums. We'll do a new group and we're going to call this to do. There we go. And then I can go to my unorganized and say needs keywords goes under to do. Scotland, I'm going to put that under travel. Canon raw files, I'm actually just going to leave that unorganized for right now. Now, when I close this back up and I go to that drop down, I now have a travel section and I've got my to do. And I can easily jump to these no matter where I'm at in my library and be able to see the images that need attention. So let's see here. What else did I want to share? One other idea for a smart album is actually to have rejected, ready to delete. You could create an album that has only your rejects. I don't have anything in here that's a reject. And then save that as a smart album so you can go into it periodically and review images you've marked as rejects and throw them away if you no longer need them. So that's another way that you can go ahead and use that. I think that is it for today. So thank you guys so much for joining me. This has been a really fun session. Have a great rest of your Friday and a lovely weekend. I'll see you next week.